So good morning, everybody. First of all, is anyone awake? Yeah. Awesome. So I'm actually not entirely sure what we all expect from this session, to be honest. So this is about the integration of Qt and the Ubuntu tools, experience, and whatnot libraries. So I guess it would be interesting to know what's missing actually, because excuse my ignorance, but I don't really know what the integration parts are. Like, I guess the indicators and things like that are interesting, and then Aurélien is also there, so the menu integration. How about you join us?
Oh, okay.
It's so lonely here. I always feel like I'm on the on stage. so I think you guys should tell us, and we can see a bit. Or are you working on? You did some integration touches, so that's great.
So to sum up what I've done, I turned the Qt menu bar into a plugin system, so that we could provide our own plugin, which exposed the menu bar on dbus to put it in the top panel. And so this code has been now integrated in Qt 4.8. And I did basically the same for the Q system tree icon plugin system implementation, so that we could use the status notifier item API, also known as app indicators. This was a quick way to get Qt application better integrated on the Ubuntu desktop, and doing it in a transparent way was necessary, at least for a known application, VoIP application named Skype, because for some reason they do not provide access to source code. No way. So we turned the system try icon into an app indicator behind Java. And this has not gone upstream yet, because it was developed like too late in the release schedule of Qt 4.8. There's nothing which prevents it to go upstream.
I think
you feel so, in fact, and we'll be happy to. That would quite a few trolls on Planet KDE.
I'm not entirely sure what our stance is on updating Qt 4.8 actually. Some stuff is definitely appreciated, bug fixes and so on. And the good message is that Qt 4.8 will be under open governance, and so you can just use the Gerrit interface that we have right now for Qt 5. And it should be there really soon now, and not the really soon from Qt 5, but within 1 or 2 weeks, hopefully. Okay. It's more a matter of setting up the technical bits and pieces. It doesn't need any legal approval or so, or it's just getting the infrastructure now that we started using that stuff.
Is there a way to turn a GitOraus branch into this?
It's actually, really easy. You can, so I don't know do you guys all know a bit about the open governance stuff in Qt? So basically Qt moved towards a much more open development process, where you can simply contribute patches, and people can get reviewer status. And at the moment that's many of the Nokia people who work on Qt since, well, it's their everyday job. But there's also quite a few community members that have the rights, and so before it was kind of a lot of work to get a patch into Qt, and that has been simplified a lot now. And when you want to push an individual patch, you push it to a special URL, and then it shows up in a web interface. You can check that on codereview.qtproject.org. It's really nice, and when you have an entire branch like you, then you can just push that branch to another special URL, and then it will show up in the web interface as a branch and can be merged as a complete branch. So you just take your Git branch and push it to this URL. If you want, I can show you the documentation, or you can just qtproject.org, you check Git, and it'll be easy for you.
Should probably question.
qt-project.org, by the way.
Yes. Okay, what I want to ask is like, okay, nicer tools in place and everything, but did the attitude change in the sense that is it much easier even in the sense that you submit a patch and then within say 1 week or 2 weeks you get it reviewed, or is it like you can stay there for months and nobody cares?
Well, it depends a little bit. I will not make any promises, but the experience so far has been insanely good. The thing is that before we were using Gitorius, and it was not integrated in our everyday workflow at all. So the merge requests, we actually didn't really get notifications for them and didn't see them. And right now, everybody, Nokia and not Nokia employees, use the same system. So when I look at the patches in general, I will see your patch next to my colleagues' patches and so on. So that's one big change. And then the other change is that we have external people that actually have the rights to integrate your patch also, which of course changes things a lot. So we have one IRC channel, Qt Labs, #Qt-Labs, that's the main development channel, and then on the wiki on qtproject.org you can see who is responsible for which part of Qt, and on the web interface you can add somebody as reviewer. So if you know it's my area, then you just add my name and I get it in an email. So you need to sometimes still push people a bit, but getting a review has become a lot easier, and the whole thing starts to work unlike before. So
sounds good.
Yeah, feedback so far has been really good, and I think Katie is happy, and I don't see a reason why Ubuntu shouldn't. Yeah, so just shoot any questions at us. Do you have like missing bits and pieces? I think, yeah.
So I was just wondering, like, what's the official position on the Python bindings? Like, PySide? Yeah, I know, but like PySide, but like,
okay.
Does Nokia or Troll tech support?
PySide is maintained by Nokia Institute in Brazil.
Okay.
I work for Nokia Institute in Brazil.
Oh, awesome.
And you can contact. I'll give you my card.
Is it
I think currently INT
the
is
Python binding on Qt or Qt Essential?
PySide.
No.
And but
None.
you can go to PySide
So, yeah, I'm actually not really sure if we have an official, like, we endorse it or not thing. We definitely appreciate it, and I think it's great that you can use Python and Qt, and it's easy, but we, as the Qt division of Nokia, don't support it because we don't have any influence on the code whatsoever. Right. But yeah, so talking to INDT, and then I'm not sure what the status of the other bindings is, where you can get commercial support from Riverbank. Basically, I think you need to check out those projects, but I don't know personally. Sorry.
Sorry, just for the notes, who did you say? Who's developing PySide?
INDT.
INDT.
Yes, Nokia Institute in Brazil.
Do you want to put your info there, or because
Okay.
we get a lot of requests and from this community about it, so it'd be nice if there was one address to, you know.
Yeah,
Connect to the file and add your URL or something.
Okay. What's more info?
Whoa.
Yep.
Hello.
Does somebody know how to turn on the mics?
Yeah, it looks like they're on.
Are they?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Can confirm.
Hello, IRC. No, that was before.
I think it's
The video stream works?
You guys could go on level left and maybe Jason.
Yeah. So yeah, then there was also, I think, the question a bit yesterday during some of the sessions we had, how it is if we can provide only managed code and what the experience in that direction is. And so apart from the Pi side, for Qt 5 actually part of the development story is that you do all your UI in QML, and that actually for most application developers you have kind of the main file as a Qt Quick or QML file. So you basically start that. Of course we provide a small wrapper that is actually C++ because yeah, we need something to execute the stuff. But then the idea is that you actually have that, and then there's the import statement where you just load a plugin which can be C++ or other QML files and so on. So actually you can develop completely in QML as soon as you have kind of the bindings for whatever you're trying to do provided. So in a way we already have that experience, except that for many things and convenience you would still like to have a binding. So one primary example I guess is file access and things like that.
Maybe I have an example of a PyQML application.
Okay.
So maybe I can show the code if you...
Absolutely. Feel free.
Just as a question, so you're saying that you don't have a binding for file access at the moment?
Sorry?
There isn't a binding for file access, what that means?
Yes, as far as you can transparently access pictures and whatnot, but there's actually no real API in QML at the moment to do real file manipulation, or reading a file and doing things to the side.
Okay, we can show browser.
Well,
maybe my example is...
Depends on what kind of program you want, but yes, I agree. It's like for tiny web apps and so on it works, but if you want, at the moment you still need, that's what I say, you need some kind of C++ plugin, but those are trivial to write in practice. And
the content, I mean, I think that the problem in general that was posed in the other session is that we wanted to it's possible to use Qt like QML as the main developer platform for new developers who want to come in and develop for Ubuntu, right? So like not experienced developers, new developers, we want to attract new ones, right?
I mean,
so if we ask them to write in C++, it's over, right?
So,
but basically, I think we end up again into a little bit of the same discussion we had yesterday. But basically, it is really so that some of our priorities are in this graphics acceleration scheme graph, and what will go into in quotes compelling mobile products, and therefore. We have not worked as much on these, in quotes, the desktop features. That my urge is really to kind of work eagerly with us on these desktop features. If you feel that the QML kind of Qt is the right choice for this type of, I would say, graphics accelerated managed application or script applications, which I believe is the case. But basically, then we should somehow try to start some kind of component project, i.e. Ubuntu system for QML or something else. And the only thing I can do is that in the beginning of next year, if there are Finnish developers, I will get Finnish state research funds where I could organize something like this, but then I need kind of Finnish Ubuntu developers I can finance, and the only good one I know is kind of Timo Jyrinki, who is taking care of the translations and so on. That's all kind of I can do, and I have then some other 3D related aspirations, but it is basically so that somehow we should find some type of spearhead project where we could work together, and Nokia would also know that where I have to push developers to work on this Ubuntu related problem. We need more common marketing that we are going to solve this problem, so we will get developers at least from Finland to work on this case.
Okay, so this is my example. If you're familiar with C++ Qt code, you shouldn't be completely lost. So here I create a Q application. I create a Q declarative view, which is what is used to show QML content. I'll come back to this one later. And here I say, okay, this is my QML code. I'm going to show it, and I run the event loop. That's all about it. So the content.qml here is a rectangle and a column with a text, which you can see here, and the button, which is here. And the button is itself described here with a few shiny things like normal gradient and pressed gradients. What's really interesting in this?
This means that we won't get the normal theming, right? That we would have to
in this example, it's not there, but there is the ever wanted component tool
that everybody wants to have.
Yeah, but which is in progress.
I mean, this is explicitly using the QML Qt and not the widgets. So you can write, of course, widget applications that look like native applications with PyQt.
Yeah, I have an example for that also, but I'm not sure it went. And what's interesting here is this part, the countdown here. This is a Python object, which is described above, and here I injected it inside the QML view. So in content.qml, whenever I refer to the countdown, I access my countdown object, and you can see here that I do countdown.count, and here I do countdown.start. So it's a method, and this object is defined here as so it inherits from QObject. Define a few things. Here you can see how you connect a signal to a method, and you do not have to mark it as slot. That's fine. But for QML to see the things, you have to use the PyQt decorators. So here I mark this as a PyQt slot, so I can call it from QML. And here I created a property, which has a setter and a signal. Well, the signal is defined here, by the way. And that's all about it. With this object, I can call slots, trigger signals, access properties.
Okay.
So you can create fully managed things this way.
Yeah. Once you know what you're doing, this is actually as simple as the C++ way of exposing things to QML and the other way around.
Yeah.
So you have full integration with your QML objects and the Python work. I'm impressed.
Is this something that you want to recommend as a solution to the managed code?
I would rather recommend this than recommending the other way around, which was discussed, that you somehow expose everything of Qt into QML or JavaScript or something like that, which really pollutes your whole QML code at the end, even if it's separated Java classes or Java files, JavaScript files. It pollutes your namespace, it will eventually end up in your QML code. I mean, we know how that things happen, and they will happen, and you will get bad code at the end, and you lose the nice paradigm with QML, that you have a very defined and strict, not strict, but a defined separation between UI and business logic. And with that approach, you can actually do that and still be managed code. So I would definitely rather recommend it than any pure JavaScript approach.
But
definitely.
But if you guys like PySide, then like if you're an open governance project, then you have to think about how you're going to include that community and make sure that you support it.
Yeah, sure. It must be. I mean, eventually with open governance, this port should be on Qt project.
But I mean, our idea behind open governance is not necessarily to provide everything out there in the world on qproject.org. And I mean, why does it have to be an official part of the Qt project?
It doesn't, that's not what I meant by supported, but like by supported I meant like you want to be, like if you're going to recommend to us that we adopt this, then you can't break us. You can't break PySide every 6 months, like, you know.
Okay.
There we go.
Maybe you missed the moment when we talked about that, but the INT guys are actually working on it, and so talk to them about how supported it is.
No, what I'm saying is you can't, the Qt project should not break the IDT guys, right? Like,
Why would we do that?
We work really closely. In fact, we are not institute in Brazil, so we work really closely to what they do.
Yeah, NDT is linked to Lurk, yeah.
So as part of the Qt project and as part of our supported platform, we're very cognizant of who our user base is and what platforms we fully support, what platforms we do QA on, testing on. There's certain things from a community, and particularly from an open project perspective, when you're supporting so many different platforms, a cross-platform framework, that you can't necessarily, how can I say, promise we're going to have ownership of this and we're not going to break your stuff. We're going to have to reach out to the community and enable these things. That means that you're going to have a server, you know, or a test suite running our tests that will confirm whether something's broken on your side, or they will, or we will enable that, and our project will reach out to the community. And although we are pleased to reach out to the Ubuntu world and to the PySide community and help make that happen, we are clearly trying to state a position that we are not going to take responsibility for that.
Well, okay, but let's explore one more time. So, what do you recommend that where the responsibility should be on the kind of the qtproject.org or somewhere else?
That's all I'm saying is it's not a very strong recommendation. If you say, oh, this other side organization is PySide, let's use that. But then they're on their own for
too long time.
Yeah, it's just not a very strong recommendation.
Well, we're just exploring it. It just came up now, right? So we're just exploring it. We just found the guy. You know, hopefully we can brainstorm about it. And
sure.
Yeah, but there should be, I'm just, because I do not represent Qt, I represent Nokia, there would be this type of additional advantages to include it into the Qt project, because many of the time there is much of this type of new innovation, scientific material, and especially with Python natural language libraries and so on, so that it would not be harmful either for the cross-platform that the Python would be supported when some, I would say, research work and actual server-side work, it would be much more applicable, because there is so much certain type of scripts available in Python that are not available on JavaScript. So, but I think that this is a little bit of an open question, and we try to improve so that the INDT can work on this subject close to kind of a Qt project, and I even dare to talk, I guess, to Lars that should this be in or should we be out, because there are these type of, I would say, at least desktop development benefits.
Sure.
For this case.
So just, we've had issues with Python bindings and things that are like core to the GNOME project in the past.
Oh, sure. It's basically, this is Olivia Wave, please. He kind of trailblazed an experimental port of Software Center for Qt. The initial version was C++, but we found that PySide is actually working really well most of the time. So it's a bit tricky. If like mistakes, it can be really harsh sometimes. So it's seg faults basically, which is not ideal in a Python world. But still, the amount of stuff that you can do and the little amount of actual Python code you have to write and how much you can do in QML is quite amazing. So this is just the regular software center. We get all the like we didn't do any modifications in the backend and wrote just a tiny wrapper that basically exposes our data models as Q objects. And yeah, it's more or less working. I mean, most of this stuff is really nice.
So Software Center is written in Qt?
No,
it's actually a GTK application.
GTK, and this is the Qt version of it.
The Qt version, and this is in trunk as well. So anyone who's interested can play with it. And yeah, it's.
But this is a QML application, not
Right.
With Python binding
Right.
to the Ubuntu system.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
So that, coming back to the topic of this session maybe a bit, what is it you guys are missing? Like, now you have experiences with Unity and with the Software Center, and from your point of view, what is missing to make it smooth with Qt QML and the Ubuntu world?
So my wish list priority would be having Python stack traces basically, and not seg faults.
I could
Yeah, maybe I just
take
hit
note
a,
on your request and I just forward to them.
yeah. Maybe I just hit a specific bug and had a bad experience. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and we can fix it quickly.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I fixed like the original bug. I fixed locally, but like I said, it seg faulted.
Bug fixing is hard at the moment.
Bug fixing is harder because we don't get Python stack traces. But to be fair, this is what we get with GTK 3 as well now. So.
Okay. No, but maybe we can improve there. That sounds good. Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of interest here in managed JavaScript and Python languages, but as someone who's doing Qt development on Ubuntu and C++, the lack of sort of a C++ style access to some of the stuff in geometric introspection is a little unfortunate. Like, it's kind of unfortunate that I'm writing this nice C++ language with all of the object-oriented features, and I have to resort to doing all my memory management with shared pointers and stuff like that when I go and interact with geometry classes. And I know that there was some work on generating bindings for geometry classes that fit into the Qt object model.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really, really, really nice to see that finished up.
Okay. Yeah, there you need to contact probably Richard Dale from KD. I don't know if you've been in touch with him.
I haven't, and I probably should be.
Yeah, I personally don't know what the state of this project is. Yeah, so that's interesting that this is, definitely exciting to have this integration with GObject and Qt. Yeah.
In the desktop summit, he was looking for funding because seems to be a lot of work. I don't know the details, but I was talking with him a little bit about that. And the basics are working, but there is a long way until it's.
What's the status of Qt components?
Qt components depends a bit. So Qt components as the widget set done in QML, and right now we have for the desktop, which is probably what you're interested in, because it's running on mobile phone. It's working on the N9, for example, and on Symbian. But for the desktop, the status is that it's in full usable state now. You can check it out at the moment on Guitorius, and if you want, there's a really nice video. Oh, maybe it's not online yet. A colleague of mine, he had a presentation at Dev Days, so the Qt developer event. He wrote a Spotify client there in half an hour with QML, and so the state is that now we want people to use it, to test it, and to give us feedback, and also to help improve it, because Nokia's focus is not the desktop, unsurprisingly. So this is something where we really, really appreciate community involvement. And there's still some low-hanging fruits. We have a table view now, and it looks native. It looks native on Mac, Windows, and GDK, and with KDE. So you actually get some really, really nice results, but now it needs kind of the real-world test, and so yes, everybody is really encouraged to look at it, play with it, and give us feedback.
And that is probably like that. We like, because I'm a little bit of an outside observer. Last year we had a little bit false start on this issue, but this particular version that is now under this Qt project is the version that should develop into this, what I little bit referred into the system class. So at least our best effort will go into this particular desktop QML integration and no other integration, but the manpower there is so low that basically if Ubuntu or Canonical could put there 1 person or 1.5 person, then I think that you would get almost everything you would need for the Unity and the Unity QML. And it is just this particular project where all the components are, and there is no hindrance for you to extend that to your most file system, I/O and that type of things, because they also exist on Mac and so on. But the project itself should be passed like a manpower a little bit better for the desktop need, but we are not going to do that. It's up to that how hard your needs are, but the structure is now correct and it is part of this Qt project. And we will also use it in kind of our desktop products, Qt Creator and so on, with whichever we do on QML.
So Jens, who presented the last...
Can somebody write the reference to that particular from the Dev Days material, that everybody will get the reference, that they know what is the correct Git for this. Now let's...
The Git?
Yeah, and then also the presentations and everything. Samples.
Google for desktop components, I always forget the exact URL.
Yeah.
But
it's on
now somebody search net and put it to this, these notes so that we don't make mistake here.
Is tutorials.org/components/desktop.g.
So from conversations that we've been having here, it seems that there's certainly a resource issue, that we have to address. So Jens, who presented on, has basically been working on this area, and it's not, and he's been pulled in other areas. So the question is, how do we clone him and maybe twice, and then we could be on schedule for the end of next year for Ubuntu, let's say. But otherwise, we're looking at a resource and a scheduling problem to be on track with the releases. So a lot of brainstorming is going on, and we'll continue to go on about that, about where those resources will come from and what we can do to make the components and the particular Ubuntu bindings system happen.
Okay, now the documentation is such it should be, thank you.
But it sounds kind of dramatic now. Actually, the feedback we got when some people looked at it was, yeah, I can use this works. So it's...
What is it missing? Is there any way that you can give us an overview?
I think there were some mails on Qt 5 feedback mailing list that should be archived. It's missing kind of tweaking the individual widgets to a state that they are really integrated and work nicely all the time. I can't really give you any specific, but yeah, I think in the Qt feedback mailing list, if I'm not mistaken, and otherwise asking Jens, and I think basically try to do a simple UI, use the stuff, see what's working and what not. And I mean, Jens, who is kind of responsible for creating this, he is very pixel perfect, so he gets sleepless nights when there's one pixel off. I don't see that stuff necessarily, so for me it looks really great. So for kind of having something working, I think it is there. It's just, yeah, we had some feedback like the tab widget had some quirky API things, and so basically we got feedback, fixed the API a little bit, and now that one's working nicely, and so on. So it really needs people to step up, test it in their application, and say, hey, this is good, this is not so good, what can we do? And it's really, I mean, yes, sit down, improve the API or the components in QML is straightforward. It's just a matter of doing it. So, and at the moment, we don't write too many desktop applications, so this code sees too little use in order to get it to a really like up to our standard.
And we've been talking about platform integration, managed code, and so on. I think one other thing we could talk about is integration with the tools like Qt Creator, BZR integration, and so on. I think before we do that, we're running out of time. Do you think we could commit some of the things we've talked about to work items, even if it's just a follow-up, just to wrap up these topics on managed code and platform integration?
Do you want to go through the list?
Yeah. So, right, let's start with managed code. That was the last one we talked about. So what are the next steps then? Do we need to follow up with INDT, or is there? I mean, I understand that there needs to be resources put on either side, but it seems that that's not still very clear.
I think that the clearest case is that INDT make a proposal towards Qt that the PySide would become this type of part of a Qt project. I think then it has some potential to succeed. And then that's all advice I have for this case. And then, as we said, the desktop, you just take it and commit patches to that one. It's already at the qtproject.org. It becomes as good as we all make it.
You can put my name to follow up on that. We'll work with the INDT guys.
What's your JW, isn't it?
I don't know if that's right.
Oh, yeah, I know who you are.
Well, the name is on the bottom of the thing there too.
Yeah, and am I right?
Yeah, but I need the nickname for the...
Arbellen.
Yeah, I'll sort that out.
Do you want to put your name as well?
Arbellen. You can put up 2 points for me.
Right, so would that address then the PySide part of things, or the managed code side of things?
I put my manager email, and the second mail is mine, so you could contact us.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I have his phone number too if you want to call him.
I'll touch base with you afterward.
So any other action items for managed code? Anything else to follow up on, or anything that might be missing?
maybe it would be nice to actually get examples somewhere documented, like the stuff Orion showed. If we have a good reference site here, this is how you can do it right now.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I just added the URL somewhere up there. Well, and I see that Michael put his...
It's in the junk directory, perfect.
Yeah, it's the default name for like side projects.
I mean,
so there you have it.
It needs to be plus junk. There is a junk project.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So plus junk is this is my Scratchpad.
Oh,
Junk is a real project that has history in it.
An unfortunate naming as well.
Yeah. Well, it's meant to actually be a throwaway project as well.
Okay. No,
it is actually pushed to the junk project.
I'm using the HTTP URL, and if I use plus junk, it doesn't work. It's a
right. So it may actually be in junk, but when you push for those things, you're supposed to put it in plus junk as your Scratchpad.
Yes. Okay, you guys figure out your
If you're
launchpad.
basic naming on Launchpad, I can go today.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, do you need? Do you think it should, is that enough for documentation, like these references, or do you want to have it in a particular
Well,
place?
that's what the Python.
It's more for you guys, right? So
Yeah, I think it's now up there. There's an Ubuntu Launchpad URL. The example is there, so go figure out.
But yeah, maybe there are more or like bigger, more real, sorry, projects.
you're not real, dude.
I'm ready enough for my
Maybe.
list.
I guess somebody should have a look at the PySite documentation. I briefly looked at it. It looks quite good, but I didn't do any serious.
I would be interested in like writing tutorials or stuff like that if you feel this is interesting, like for developer.ubuntu.com.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we could improve too, make tutorials and
Okay.
we have some examples, but I think they were not published yet. But, let's keep in contact and
So write a tutorial of the usage of PySite with QML or there.
I guess that's better than the document. Yeah. Perfect.
And what, after the Pi side, just in terms of the overall integration, is that what you consider managed code as well? I mean, ultimately, if we have the components and we have the bindings, then there's no C++. Is that managed?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I cannot really tell you because I haven't used the code, so perhaps that would be more a question for
No,
the
I just mean
developers.
under the topic here.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is to ensure that developers do not have to write C++
Right.
code.
So this would seem like the,
But that shouldn't prevent like us from writing C++ code to provide components to opportunistic
exactly.
developers.
So we should have both plans in parallel in place so that the option is there. Because ultimately, we'd prefer that you would write QML, or Python is fine as well, PySide, and whichever is most successful, that's great. But we don't want to neglect it and say, okay, let's put all our energies toward this and then not do the overall components and system bindings. So I think that's something that also has to be a larger takeaway for the integration question, is how to get, essentially, it's a resource question, which I mentioned, so how to do that. And that's not really a technical question, but I think it should be an action item of some sort from both sides, from various sources to figure out who can do this work.
I think it might be good to talk to Jason Warner from the desktop team, perhaps. What do you guys think? Or do you think it would be more like for the consumer applications team?
This is what I was wondering, like if maybe someone from our team could take care of it, or at least stay close in touch with Jason. It seems that there is a certain amount of overlap here.
So let me see. I mean, I think I'll just add a work item for a follow-up. So Adam, would you be happy to follow up with Jason Warner and David Pitkin?
Yeah.
David Pitkin is the new director of the consumer applications division, which, I mean, one of the aspects is that they're going to be wanting people to write more applications more easily for Ubuntu. So that's what Michael was saying. There's some overlap there.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be good if somebody from, today, we spoke about this last night, could kind of even start helping out with a list of gaps for the bindings. We mentioned file I/O. I mean, simple as saying, okay, we're going to need these, so we understand requirements. And right now, it's all kind of vague and in the ether. We need to, know the gaps, as Chase asked about what the specific, UI component issues are lacking, and we need to know the gaps on the system bindings and really know,
Question is, I think, it really the gaps depends on the approach you take. Either you go full QML JavaScript and then you need to bind a lot of things, or as Thomas said, you go in hybrid Python JavaScript and then you do not have to expose everything to JavaScript because you can do like file access or stuff like that using Python.
I think we're going to want to do both.
The problem.
We also have a third option.
The problem in both is that if you do the pure QML stuff, with Python it's very easy because there is like a ton of packages everywhere. You need to do something, you just install a package, a library and you do it in Python, you don't have any problem. In QML, if you want to go to pure QML route, whatever you want to expose, whatever functionality is not there, you have to create a library and expose it to QML, and it's a lot of work, and it's just like kind of a waste because you can just do it in Python. I mean, somebody else in Python already did that kind of work. Right?
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of duplicated effort in a way.
I agree.
So it seems like we have a third option as well. I haven't thought this through, so it may be crazy. Just shoot me if it is. But we could create a wrapper C++ library that simply wraps Q objects to dbus. So we could write whatever we want as our dbus backend, bridge it right into QML, and we could use whatever language you want.
Yeah.
Or you could use whatever language you want. Python, C++, or Perl, everything that provides dbus bindings.
Do you think that will perform? I mean, we are handling a lot of objects, and it's passing around a lot.
I don't know. This is why I said
I mean,
I'm just throwing it out.
I don't know, but I would be very surprised if this is going to perform.
Some people claim it does, but like I said, I haven't done any measurements on this, so it may be totally bogus.
Ryan will shoot you with all this.
Really?
So I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I would on modern days we have so many CPUs in desktop, so we have to invent something to do for them.
It seems like if you want performance, you have to use C++ anyway. I mean, Python is also not, the strongest performer.
Yeah,
but you do not have to demarshal and marshal.
Yeah, Python sounds a lot more efficient than going via dbus.
Right. Okay, I mean, we've got only 5 minutes, I think. Should we try to work down the list of work items? So, I mean, is this one still relevant then? Provide a list of gaps, which system bindings are missing, and what else is missing? I think
for us it's really valuable.
Yeah, so anyone, I mean, that's someone from us that should be providing this, any developer. Aurelian, what do you think? Would you be up for it? Or anyone else?
It looks like you already did quite.
I think we need to make a decision on what our preferred developer story is. As I said, whether it's pure QML or QML plus Python, because I can work on defining this list of gaps, but it will be a different list depending on the story. So, and probably I think Rick should be involved in this.
Yeah.
I would be happy to collaborate on this. I just don't want to put out a list which is.
I know, yeah, that's not. Yeah, that might apply for one option, but not for the other one. Right.
But in some ways, we're still trying. We have a lot of discussions on how we're going to allocate resources, and so just having the basics of a beginner list for each could be helpful. Just to put things in perspective and to understand where we stand.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can look into it. The thing is, I just briefly played with this PyQML example, but maybe writing some more involved, more serious applications can highlight what's currently missing.
Okay.
Maybe I will discover a few of them by writing the tutorial.
Okay, cool. Then I'll write you down for this one. Then.
Yeah, because there could also be problems like with installation and packaging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess for a tutorial to be useful, it should be an end-to-end story from starting to pushing to a PPA.
Yeah.
Sort of what Quickly provides.
Okay.
Tooling?
Yeah, we've only got 2 minutes for tooling. I mean, just quickly to make sure that at least we've covered this topic. I think that's a good start for a further follow-up. I mean, that doesn't represent the full plan yet, but I think that gives us a way to start on this. So yeah, let's start on briefly on tooling.
Well, we've discussed amongst ourselves how we can improve tooling, and there is already some bizarre integration, but it's not a very good bizarre integration to Qt Creator. We'd like to encourage you guys to use Qt Creator for your development needs. We'd like to get it quickly integration, and we'd like to get Bazaar integration, and we'd like to make sure that you could get from idea to development to software center very quickly. So that's really something that it seems like a whole other session, given that we've got 60 seconds left. But
Yeah, we should schedule another session for the main slots.
Let's book another session.
Maybe another thing to add as tooling is make better support for create Debian packages in the Qt Creator, like real packages that could be uploaded to Ubuntu archives.
I think we already can leverage some of the things we have from Harmony, no?
We have a project called Package.me, which can be used to make it really easy. Like if your project files contains enough information, we should be able to write a really simple way of creating dApps.
So the button is missing then at the end to actually do it.
And a little bit of QA.
Sure.
Come to that session. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, would anyone then be interested in tooling from that session, or a new session on tooling? I mean, people who are working on Package.me,
install Qt application, applications.
Sorry?
Tooling in the sense of stuff like infrastructure to package and install.
Exactly. So for example, that from Qt Creator, you can press a button or whatever and create a package or things like that, or BZR integration.
And this is definitely possible. Creator is very plugin based. There's this thing for the Open Desktop. It's a research project, so there you can already create a basically package and send it to SUSE build service, get the package back and put it on KDE-apps.org, GNOME-apps.org, whatever. Right. So basically there's a lot of infrastructure in place.
Okay. Cool.